All right, it is a football Friday edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. Welcome. It is October the 14th, 2022. Unfortunately, we do not have a Guardians game to recap. The Guardians, not surprisingly, we've been talking about this for a couple of days, postponed against the Yankees last night, and so they will play Game 2 of the American League Division Series this afternoon at 1 p.m. or just after 1. I can't remember the exact time off the top of my head. And so the Yankees and Guardians will potentially play 4 games in a row. Game 2 in New York this afternoon, Games 3 and 4, if necessary, in Cleveland this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and then back to New York for Game 5, if necessary, in the Bronx on Monday. So, obviously, when I rejoin you on Monday, although we will be doing Guardian. I'm saying we'll rejoin you Monday, but actually, I'm going to be on the air a ton between now and Monday. So, just so you have the whole Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show calendar, and before we get into what else, well, let me first look. Let me talk about what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to spend another minute giving you the calendar for all the things you can watch me and the other guys on. And then I'm going to get into a lot of Browns. I was going to do a split, but obviously with no Guardians, we're going to talk mostly Browns on today's podcast. But let me just tell you what we got going on in terms of live coverage on YouTube in addition to the podcast. So tonight or this afternoon, so obviously today is Friday by the time you're watching this. It could be already past the game. I don't know. But anyway, on Friday here, today, the 14th, you have this podcast. You have the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show live from 11 to 1. And then myself, G, and Earl will be going on live for the postgame between the Guardians and Yankees sometime probably around 4 o'clock. So 3 chances to see me and some of the other guys today. Tomorrow, there will definitely be a Game 3, so we will be on again post-game, 7-something starts, so probably around 10, 11 o'clock. Me, G, and Earl again on Saturday recapping Game 3 of the Guardians. Then Sunday, I will be on again with G and then, of course, Jeff Lloyd and Mikey McNuggets will be on around 4 for the Browns post-game on Sunday. And if there's a Game 4 between the Guardians and Yankees, we'll be back on at like 10, 11 o'clock Sunday night for live coverage there. So we've got you covered to recap the Browns, to recap the Guardians playoffs, my podcast almost every day, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show every day. We got you covered. So please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We're approaching 16,000 subscribers in less than in really just 5 months, which is remarkable to be at that number already, and it's because of the great fans that we have in this town and around the country that root for the teams in Cleveland. So keep it coming. Tell your friend, your mom, your grandmother, whoever you got to tell, subscribe, and make sure, this is very important, especially for our kind of unscheduled Browns postgame and Guardians playoff postgame shows, because we don't know exactly what time they're going to be. So we can't tell you, hey, just listen at 11, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show starting. The only way you're going to know, besides if we tweet it out, but the way you're going to know for sure that we're doing a Guardians postgame live, doing a Browns postgame live, or the podcast, or the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, or bonus Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show content, the only way you're going to know for sure is if you click on the bell to get the alert, and then you get the alert whenever there's something coming off the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. So please subscribe and please hit that bell. All right, that's it. So again, I'm going to get to a couple minutes on the Guardians, and then we'll spend the majority of the podcast talking about the Browns today. That's all coming up right here in the Bullpen.
Podcast is not for the faint of heart.
And I do think it's time for the Browns to move on.
It's not for those who ride the fence.
He's proven nothing.
But if you're looking for someone who tells it like it is about Cleveland sports,
everybody does fandom their way.
You've come to the right place.
I don't think he's any good.
It's time for the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
So I've already talked about why I think there's an edge for the Yankees in the rainout. I know some others, I know Jensen Lewis, who does the Guardians pre and post, had some thoughts and some interesting comments about he thinks it's actually an advantage for the Guardians because they have a better bullpen and a deeper bullpen that playing 4 days in a row can help them. You can make that argument. In the end, it is what it is. There's nothing can be done. So 4 games in a row, if necessary. Game 2 this afternoon, again, expecting it to be the same pitchers that were supposed to go last night. And that is Shane Bieber for the Guardians and Nestor Cortez for the Yankees. Should be an excellent pitching matchup. Obviously, it's imperative that the Guardians win this game. And to do so, they're going to have to start hitting as they have for most of this year. Keep in mind, they have had stretches this year, including late August and a couple of other times this year, more often in the early part of the season, where they have slumped for a few days offensively and just couldn't get going. But they got to get back immediately, today, to the team that moves runners, that makes contact. They can't rely on the home run as they have in the playoffs so far. They can't strike out too much, which they have in the playoffs so far. They've got to manufacture. They've got to steal bases. They got to run the bases well. They've got to get back to doing all those things. If they can, then all of a sudden you win this game. It's a whole different series. Now you've got home field advantage. You're coming home with McKenzie. And then you'd have Quantrill in Game 4, who we all know has been great at Progressive Field. It comes down to it, right? Yankees win Game 2, they're very likely going to win the series. Guardians win Game 2, they got a great chance to win the series. That's where we're at. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to spend the rest of the podcast talking about the Browns' big game against the Patriots and Bill Belichick this Sunday at 1 p.m. and why I have called it a guaranteed win. I've even gone as far as I never do these things. I'm going to do this if they win. I'm going to do this if they lose. For the first time ever, I mentioned on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show that I'm going to do blank if the Browns lose to the Patriots. I'll tell you what that was when I come back in just a moment. First, I want to talk to you about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for football betting info this season. Find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information and live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf, head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay. So, as we head into Week 6, if the Browns have any realistic chance of the playoffs, they're going to need to win this game against the New England Patriots to keep their odds decent, right? It's not over if they lose. Right now the Ravens are in first and 3-2. And so I hate to call it a must-win, but it's an important game, especially with the schedule you have coming up. The Browns are favored at home. They're a 2.5-point favorite. They have lost 2 of their first 3 home games, and obviously 3 of 5 overall. Vegas would argue that these teams are even, and that the Browns are 2.5 due to the home field. Probably even on a neutral field with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. But we don't know who's going to be quarterbacking for the Patriots. They've had 3 quarterbacks so far this year. They've had Mac Jones, they've had Brian Hoyer, and they had Bailey Zappi, who started last week for the first time as a rookie. They had a nice win, 29-0. But remember, the Patriots, they're 2-3 also, and they're we made a think. Well, the Browns have only beaten the Steelers and the Panthers, both bad teams. Well, same thing for the Patriots. They've only beaten those same Steelers and the Lions. In their other 3 games, they've allowed 84 points to the Dolphins, the Ravens, and the Packers in 3 losses. Now, their offense has been better lately. Their ability to run the ball has been pretty good. Ramondre Stevenson did a really nice job last week. But I have a variety of reasons, and some just plain old gut, as to why I think the Browns are going to win this game. Number one is when you look at, I keep hearing that Bill Belichick knows how to slow down a team's strength. Well, that hasn't really been the case. Now, the last few weeks, the Ravens, the Patriots have faced good running teams. The Lions obviously lost their top running back, DeAndre Swift, and they were down big. They couldn't run the ball much. But the 2 games before that, if you look at the Ravens and Packers, and obviously the Ravens have a different type of running game because Lamar Jackson does a lot of the running. But even Justice Hill and Dobbins combined for over 6 yards per carry, 13 for 83, and overall between Lamar Jackson, Justice Hill, and J.K. Dobbins, the Ravens had 24 carries for 186 yards. That's almost 7.5 yards per carry for the Ravens against the Patriots. The week before that, or the week before, or the week after they played the Packers. It was the week after they played the Packers. In that game, Aaron Jones, a similar backfield to the Browns, with 2 really good backs. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon combined 33 carries, 183 yards. And Aaron Jones, their lead back, at 16 for 110. So he averaged almost 7 yards per carry. Now, on the other hand, we know that the Browns can be run on. Here's the thing. Now, this is where the gut comes in. The Browns have shown an extreme lack of toughness on the defensive side of the ball. They frankly look pretty soft, especially against the run these last 2 weeks. They got humiliated by the Falcons in a game they blew and lost to fall to 2-2. And they got destroyed by a Chargers running game. Neither of those teams' running games have been great. Now, the Chargers, I think it's misleading because if you know football, you know Austin Eckler is one of the better running backs in the NFL. But a lot of times they use him more in the passing game. They don't have a great second back with him, although they did take advantage of the Browns last Sunday. But they're a pass-first team. They've got a great quarterback. That's part of the reason they haven't run the ball much. And they've been down in some of these slugfest games, and so they've thrown the ball a lot. I don't think they're a bad running team. Now, the Falcons game, there's no excuse. But I am going to believe, maybe hope against hope, that this Browns front, which has looked soft as you could possibly look, especially over the last 2 games, is going to show some pride, is going to show some grit, is going to show some determination. I think to me, if they have any pride at all, they are humiliated right now. This defense was supposed to be really good, and they've been a huge disappointment. They haven't defended the pass well. They haven't defended the run well. But in particular, the run defense the pass defense has been bad. The run defense, especially the last 2 weeks, has been beyond embarrassing. And a lot of times when you look at the Patriots, say they got a great coach, they like to run the ball, the Browns can't stop the run, it sets up for the Patriots to run it well in this game. And they will at times, but I have to believe. And by the way, if it doesn't happen, I'm calling for everybody to be fired. I'll tell you this. I have been very patient while others have screamed for Joe Woods to be fired. While others, I've been Mr. Positivity about the Browns the last 2 weeks when everybody else is jumping off the roof. All right? If I'm wrong about my guaranteed win over the Patriots, and if, God forbid, they get just smoked like they did by the Patriots last year, you will see a different version of me next week. Because there is no excuse for this team to be 2-4. I don't care who the quarterback is, and the quarterback's playing pretty well. There's no excuse for this defense with the talent they have there, and they do have talent. And they only have 1 key injury at this point. 1. Anthony Walker. I know it's a meaningful one, but it's 1. Everybody else is playing. All their other starters are here. You knew who you had. If you can't coach these guys up because you're a little undersized at linebacker and you're not great at defensive tackle, well, that's on the players and their pride and their guts and their toughness, and it's also on the coach. And I am going on I'm telling you right now, again, I don't think anybody's been more positive about this team as they have dropped 2 bad losses in a row. The Falcons game was embarrassing. The Chargers game, hey, listen, the Chargers are a really good team, but the way they played run defense was embarrassing. If they lose to the Patriots with Bailey Zappi in his second NFL start at home, where they've already lost 2 of their first 3, if they do that, my excuse-making, or whatever you want to call it, is out the window. That's that. All right? This, not to mention, this is Bailey Zappi's first start on the road. Now, he did come in the game against Green Bay, which was on the road a couple of weeks ago, but you don't have time to think about it, the pressure, the crowd, and all that stuff. The crowd's going to be going crazy, but fans are angry right now, and the Browns need to turn it around. And I just think if this team has any pride, if this defense has any pride in it, and if this coach, this defensive coordinator, Joe Woods, has any smarts at all, he has to. We cannot wait for it to happen any longer. He has to change things up defensively. They have to play. You heard, I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, heard Bernie Kosar, the great Bernie Kosar, on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show yesterday. He was fantastic. And we talked about his history and his concussions and all this, which was amazing conversation, and he was so critical of the NFL, deservedly so. He was incredible with us. But he also talked about football, and he said, listen, the Browns, and Bernie's not overly critical of the Browns generally. He said Joe Woods has got to do things differently defensively. They need to put their corners on an island, say shut it down man to man, and they need to blitz or run blitz. You know, you don't always have to blitz just because you think it's going to be a pass. You could run blitz to get pressure in the backfield and get a guy down before he even gets going. They're down one of their 2 top backs. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's better than Harris, but Harris has played well. He's a good back, too. They got 2 good backs there. Now they only have 1. So a rookie quarter, and again, Mac Jones might play, but as of now, it looks like it's going to be Bailey Zappi. So you got a rookie making his first NFL start on the road. You've got one of your top 2 running backs out. You have no stars at skill positions on offense, right? Like, maybe Ramondre Stevenson will get there, but right now he's just a good player. You know, Devontae Parker is a nice player. They have some nice players, but they don't have any star talent at their skill positions on the offense. And so Jacoby Myers is a young receiver that's kind of seems to be finally starting to come into his own, but there's no excuse. Again, you're at home. All right? The defense has got to show some freaking pride, some guts, some heart, and some toughness, and go out there and punch the freaking Patriots in the mouth. Offensively, I'll say it once, I'll say it a million times. You cannot stop Nick Chubb. He is the most unstoppable back in the NFL running the ball. Obviously, this guy's a lot better in the passing game. But in terms of just running the ball, there's nobody better. He is the man, and the offensive line has been great. They have run blocked. They're even better as run blockers, not to mention as pass blockers. They're giving up only 1 sack per game. So I know they got Matthew Judon, and the Patriots have gotten to the quarterback a lot. But Jacoby Brissett overall has done a good job of getting rid of the ball quickly. The offensive line is protected well. You want to keep Judon away from Jacoby Brissett. I think he's got 6 sacks at this point, which is impressive. But I'm telling you, I don't think he's getting to the quarterback. I think they will keep Jacoby clean, and they will run all over the Patriots. And it's going to come down to a battle of wills and toughness. We know Bill Belichick's the best coach in the league, but since Brady left, they're an average football team, and this year they're probably worse. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear quarterback. I don't want to hear Anthony Walker. I don't want to hear defensive tackles stink. They're NFL players. Get out there and make some freaking tackles and make some freaking plays. Let's go. Show some fight and some heart for a fan base that is all with you, and they're going to boo if you stink, but they're right back with you the next week. I'm getting sick of this nonsense. This is absolutely absurd the way the Browns have played. And this week they turn it around. Now, I mentioned Plus, I also think there's got to be a lot of players on this team that were here last year. They got humiliated by the Patriots. They want some payback. Kevin Stefanski overall has been great after a loss, even with the loss last week. They're still, under Kevin Stefanski, have won 75% of their games. It had been 80%, now it's 75. 75% of their games they've won coming off a loss. You got to get it done. Browns aren't a great team right now. They're mediocre, but I think they're better than the Patriots. I think Vegas has got it wrong. I think the Browns should be favored by 5. And I think the Browns are going to show everybody this Sunday why they should be a bigger favorite in this game. It's time to find out what this team is made of. I think they've got some toughness that they haven't shown enough of. But my opinion will dramatically change on this team if it doesn't happen. But if it doesn't, I made a promise on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I always said, I'm not going to be one of these dopes on the radio or TV who promises to do something stupid, and then it goes wrong, and you're like, oh, I got to do that. So I didn't go crazy. I didn't say I was going to eat something gross or do something gross. But I did say that I would buy a Baker Mayfield Panthers jersey if the Browns lose to the Patriots. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to buy the cheapest one I could find, but I will buy a Baker Mayfield Panthers jersey. So I implore you, Kevin Stefanski, Joe Woods, the entire team, the entire staff, please don't make me buy a Baker Mayfield jersey. Take care of business at home and don't mess around. Let's go. I did not want to have to wear that jersey of that lousy quarterback. Folks, let me talk to you about Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today. Climbing the charts with over 4 million plus users, and they recently launched 22 new features, including over-unders integrated into fantasy, the first sports contest game built into the fantasy experience. Not only can you enter a contest via over-under itself, but you can also do so through your Fantasy League's matchup screen. It's super simple. Any sport, choose 2 or more players you like, pick the over-under. For example, rushing yards in football, number of points in basketball, then choose the amount of money you want to enter into the contest. If you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 to 20 times the money you put in. The main reason I'm excited about Over-Under on Sleeper is that it's the only app where I can join my friends' contests and play together, and of course that leads to trash talking. So stop what you're doing, download Sleeper, play the over-under game, have fun, win cash, talk trash. On your mobile phone, join our listener group, sleeper.com/lockedonbets, sleeper.com/lockedon today, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Again, go to sleeper.com/lockedonbets or sleeper.com/lockedon today, and you'll get a match of up to $100 on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Okay, let's get to the picks. I got to update. I got to do my standings. I haven't really done the standings of how my game picks so far. I'll update them this week going into next week's picks. Let's get to all the picks. I'll start with the Browns and Patriots. I already told you I think the Browns are going to win. It's a guaranteed win Sunday. Should be a nice day at First Energy Stadium, 60 degrees, around 60 at game time. The weather shouldn't be a factor. If they were playing a warm weather team, you'd think of that as bad, but they're playing the Patriots, so it doesn't really matter. So I'll take the Browns minus the 2.5. I think they win by a touchdown. Other 1 o'clock games, the 49ers and the Falcons. The game's in Atlanta. The Niners are a 5.5-point favorite. The Niners have lost 2 of 3 on the road, but they've won 2 in a row after losing that sloppy game against the Broncos a few weeks ago, 11-10. Last 2 weeks, against the Rams and the Panthers, they have scored 61 points. They've outscored their opponents 61-24 behind Jimmy G. I like the 49ers in this one to win by a touchdown. Jets-Packers in Green Bay. I think the Packers are going to win, but I like the Jets to keep it close. Jets have overachieved. They've won 2 of their 3 games on the road, as we know, including here in Cleveland, which was a heartbreaker. And they've been in since their first game where they got destroyed by the Ravens. Well, they actually got destroyed by the Bengals. In their 2 losses, they did get beat bad. But in their other 3 games, obviously they've played very well, including a big win over Miami last week. And the Packers have been not great. I expect them to run a lot this week. I think it's going to be kind of a high-scoring, close game. I think even if the Packers win by a touchdown, you win with the Jets. So I think the Packers will win by, probably the 4 to 7 point range, but I'll take the Jets with the points. I think it could be a field goal game even. Jaguars at Colts, 1 o'clock. That game in Indianapolis. Jaguars 2-3. Colts are 2-2-1. Jaguars were an early surprise with some good offense. The Colts get a boost with Jonathan Taylor going in this game. However, the Jaguars have consistently had the Colts number. Matt Ryan looks completely shot, and Trevor Lawrence, who's struggled a little the last 2 weeks, has played overall better this year, and I think will continue to improve. I'll take the Jaguars to upset the Colts again in Indy. I'll take the +2. Another 1 o'clock game is the Vikings and the Dolphins. That game is in Miami. Dolphins 2-0 at home, but obviously they've had injuries at quarterback. First Tua went down. Then Teddy Bridgewater went down. I can't even think of the name of the quarterback who's playing for the Dolphins. Oh, Skylar Thompson. There's been some names you didn't expect to play this year that are. Dolphins obviously not the same team without him. And the Vikings have been a surprise. They're 4-1 on the season. I mean, it's been it's funny is they beat the Packers, a very impressive win in week 1. Then they played the Eagles, who, of course, are the only 5-0 team in the league, and they got smoked in that second game. And while they haven't played really great teams and they haven't won by a lot of points the last 3 weeks, beating the Lions, the Saints, and the Bears, still, it's 3 straight victories. They've scored at least 23 points in their 4 wins. And in their last 3 games, they've scored at least 28 points. And so I think the Dolphins are a bit of a mess right now. I'll take the Vikings on the road. I'll lay the 3. Bengals at Saints. Hard to predict this Bengals team right now. Their defense has played pretty well. Their offense is just not right. The offensive line has improved since the first 2 weeks, but it's still got issues. This is their 4th road game. They've lost 2 of 3 on the road. All 3 of their losses were by a field goal. Saints got their own issues. Looks like former Bengal Andy Dalton will play against the Bengals for the 3rd straight year on 3 different teams. He's on the Saints this year. He was on the Bears last year, and he was on the Cowboys the year before that. And he played against the Bengals each time due to injuries. Saints have other injuries they're dealing with. Chris Olave's banged up. Michael Thomas is banged up. The Bengals are pretty healthy. Obviously, they're without their best run stopper. Their left tackle, Jonah Williams, hasn't practiced much this week. Neither is T. Higgins. Those could be factors. I would definitely stay away from this one. If I had to pick, I'd take the Bengals on the road, but I don't love it. Ravens at the Giants. This is an interesting game. Obviously, if you're a Browns fan, you're rooting for the Giants to win this game and get to 5-1. It's hard to believe that this Giants team with Daniel Jones can get to 5-1. I am going to take the Giants to cover. I think, their defense has played well. They've run the ball well. And, the Ravens played the Ravens played pretty well against the Bengals last week, but their offense has kind of been out of sorts the last few weeks. Rashad Bateman's been banged up. He may not play in this one. Lamar Jackson got off to the good start. He hasn't been as sharp the last 2 weeks, and it's time to give the Giants some credit. I'll say the Ravens pull out a win in a close game on the road, but I think the Giants cover. Still at 1 o'clock. It's weird. You get the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Browns all playing at 1 o'clock. When are the Steelers playing? Did I mention the Steelers? Oh, they're also at 1 o'clock. That's the next game. The Buccaneers and the Steelers. Tampa Bay, who would have imagined? The Steelers an 8-point underdog at home. They're 0-2 at home this year, 1-4. I told you, listen, I said they were going to suck. They have. Now, last year I thought they'd be under 500, but I didn't think they'd be terrible last year. I thought they would. I think I said they'd finish 8-9 last year. They didn't. Okay, they had a better year than I thought. This year I said they were a fraud. They're finishing last. They stink, and right now it looks dead on. They got a lucky win in week 1 and have gotten worse and worse as the weeks have gone on. Their defense without T.J. Watt is average. Their offense is as bad as any in the league. Their quarterback play's been terrible. They can't run the ball. The offensive line stinks. It's hard to pick a road team. It seems weird to pick a team in Pittsburgh to cover an 8-point spread, but I think Tampa's starting to get on track, getting their skill position guys back. Chris Godwin, I think, is going to be back to form. I'll lay the 8 with the Buccaneers. I'll also lay this is definitely a stay away. Panthers at the Rams. Panthers fire their coach. Baker, who's been the worst quarterback in football, is banged up. Don't know if he's going to play. Probably not, but the Rams have not looked right. And can I lay 10 with the Rams? I hate this game. If I had to bet every game but one, this would be the one I'd leave out. It's a coin. I'll take the Rams. Maybe the Panthers are inspired by a new coach. The Panthers have actually played 4 of their first 5 games at home, so it's only the second trip on the road. I'll take the Rams, but I don't like the way they're playing either. They're going to win. I just don't know if they get covered by 10. Seahawks at home are a 2.5-point dog to Arizona. The Seahawks have played really well on offense. They've gotten lucky to some degree. Geno's made some turnover-worthy plays that have not turned into turnovers, but overall he has been a revelation this year. I got to give my man Dustin Fox kudos every week. He's loved Geno for years, and finally Geno's coming through for him. I don't like the Cardinals. It's funny, they're 2-0 on the road and 3-0 at home. That changes this week. I think the Seahawks get to 500, and they win outright at home. Bills at Chiefs. Obviously, this is the game of the week. No doubt about it. Sunday, 4:25 in Kansas City, and the Bills are favored. Wow. That's how much Vegas thinks the Bills are better than Chiefs. And you know what? So do I. I think the Bills go to Kansas City and win. They got to beat them in the playoffs. They haven't been able to the last 2 years. The Bills are the best team in football. I know the Eagles are undefeated, but I think the Bills are the best team. I think the Chiefs are actually the second best team and the Eagles third. Maybe Eagles 2, Chiefs 3. Sunday Night Football, Cowboys at Eagles. The Eagles are a 6.5-point favorite at home. I think they cover. To me, the Cowboys are a fraud at 4-1. I like the Eagles. They really have put it all together on both sides. The biggest difference from what you thought going into the season is that Jalen Hurts looks like a star. Now, it's early. There's a long way to go. If he keeps playing like he has, they're going to be a tough team to beat. I'll take the Eagles at home. Monday night is Broncos-Chargers. We'll get to that game next week. But again, I got the Browns beating the Patriots in a guaranteed win Sunday. I'll talk to you today on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, this afternoon on the Guardians postgame, tomorrow night, Saturday night in the Guardians postgame, Sunday afternoon Browns postgame, hopefully Sunday night Guardians postgame, and then back on the podcast as well as Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and hopefully Guardians postgame. Well, no, hopefully the Guardians win 3 in a row, and there's no postgame Monday. Either way, I'll see you plenty all weekend long right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. See ya.